Hi, Ravind.
Yes, yeah,
Shall we start the session?
sure,
Okay, start recording.
sure.
This meeting is being recorded.
Hey all, good morning. Thanks for joining on time. Let me share my screen. Hope you've gone through the course introduction to cybersecurity. We started with the need and significance of cybersecurity, and we gone through the all the OS top 10 vulnerabilities. And last class we've been talking about logging and monitoring, why we need logging, what are the risks associated with the logging, and how we can do a monitoring alerting using tools, and what is the significance of using alert function. And we also discussed about a scenario where there is a bank teller who uh, sends some money which he not supposed to, and how it is tracked back using the logs. So today we'll start with the secure design. So we discussed like what are the weaknesses that is there in the system. So now we'll see what are the good steps that we need to do. Like as a programmer, as a coder, like what are the things that we need to do in order to make it work better and safe from the hackers being like exploiting the vulnerabilities or weaknesses in the system. So we understood like what are the flaws with the worst top 10 in the application. Now we'll see what are the good things or the good secure measures that we are supposed to do in order to make it very much rigid in the security posture. So we talked about initially when we started the session, uh, during the first session we've been talking about what are the cybersecurity concepts. We talked about what is confidentiality, integrity, and availability. I hope you all remember that. So uh, confidentiality is securing, like only authorized persons need to see your personal details or sensitive details. For example, we discussed only your PAN numbers or your account numbers should be visible only to you, not to the others in your college or in the companies. So only the sensitive informations are only viewable to authorized users. It's nothing but the confidentiality. Integrity is in the sense unless the authorized persons, no one is allowed to change the data that is stored in the database. So that principle is integrity. So if something is someone is damaging the data that is there in the database, or if someone is modifying it or deleting it, then we say the integrity principle of the is being compromised. Availability is only authorized users, or whenever the legitimate users trying to access a particular website, they have to they should have a access to view it. So we talked about uh, when we are booking a Tatkal tickets, or if you are trying to buy a phone during a launch, then you will see like there are a lot of hits, and the website will be very slow. When you're booking the tickets, it will be very slow, or the particular website will not be available because there will be many users. Like similarly, like hackers can replicate that by making it not available to the legitimate users. So that if something happens like that, then it means that the availability principle is being compromised or affected. So these are like three things. So we need to ensure that these three principles are taken into account, and we have to build a software in order to ensure that these principles are uh, safeguarded. So it is said like it is much expensive to create a secure software than identifying the and correcting the vulnerability. So it is always like it's better to be a proactive way. We need to think and we have to work on the secure design, or else identifying the vulnerabilities. If something mishap happens, like if someone is trying to hack a particular system, then the damage that the person can do for the organization or the college will be is not easily reversible. So always companies are now taking aware about like importance of the cyber security, and what would be the like implications of that. We talked about like what are the damages a particular organization may face. Like we talked about defamation, and the business might be going in loss if someone is not taking cybersecurity as a priority. So so that's why like nowadays like companies are investing in cybersecurity professionals. So we have a like a huge demand on cybersecurity professionals. So so that people who are developing the applications also have the cybersecurity mindset to develop it. So proactively defending the applications from the intruders, it is imperative to follow below secure coding practices. So we have to follow the below security coding practices in order to ensure that the hackers should not intrude the system. So the first one is authentication. So authentication is the process in which like your username and your password is identified, correct, checked with the database, and it's allowing you to enter into the system. So what are the things that you need to ensure when you're authenticating a particular user? Authentication is required for all pages and resources except public pages. So if you're viewing any public content, then it can be viewed without any login. But if there is any sensitive data, for example, if I want to know about your college, I can able to see the college like website, I can browse it. But if I want to see a particular person's mark, student's marks, or if I want to see details about your uh, particular placement records, then I will not be having access to do it, because as a public, only the college details will be there, your lectures details will be there, and if something uh, which has been published or public can be viewed, all other sensitive data will not be seen. So that is the way it has to be designed. Authentication failure messages should be generic in nature. So we saw in injection example and other vulnerability examples. Like if you give specific data in your error message, then hacker might use those uh, in the way that he wants, and he can able to perform an attack. So we should always have a generic messages displayed as a error message. Password hashing must be implemented. So the encryption and hashing techniques should be there in order to ensure that it's a trusted system. Account lockout policy. Account lockout policies, like you would have come across, like if you're trying to uh, get into the like your Gmail accounts with the incorrect password, or if you're getting into some websites, online websites, banking websites, if you tried like three or five wrong passwords, then your account will be getting locked, because system doesn't know whether the legitimate user is trying with the wrong password, or someone hacker is trying to guess the password. So the secure future is that if someone is trying to access the login id, or is trying to access particular page with the wrong password more than like five or three times, based on the sensitivity organization implement. Like if you're using some bank uh, transaction, or if you're using some sensitive information transaction, then within like three or four attempts your account will be locked. If it is not that much sensitive, then they can give up to six or seven attempts. Based on the design, it will be varied. And request timeout should be enforced. So account timeout in the sense like if you've been ideal, like if I'm been ideal in this particular page for more hours, then from the Infosys Springboard I should get logged out. So this is a learning portal, so there will not be much secure T. But the thing is like if there is any like e-commerce website or any website where the money or any sensitive data is involved, then you have to have a session timeout that is being enforced. Re-authenticate users whenever they change their password. So once you logged in, for example, take for an example that you have opened your Gmail account in your lab and you left your system like just like that and you moved out. The particular session is available and your friend tries to change your Gmail password. If that is being done, then Gmail should have a proper re-authentication mechanism that only if you give your old password, your new password will be changed. So whenever when you're changing the password or resetting the password, you can always see either you're getting a OTP or you're giving your old password, so that uh, no none other than like a particular person can change their password. Using multi-factor authentication for highly sensitive and high value transaction. So multi-factor authentication, you already know, like we talked about it when we are discussing on authentication. Like there are like three types of authentication. One is what you know, what you have, and what you are. What you have is nothing but your sometimes your OTPs are nothing but what you have. What you know is nothing but your security questions or passwords are nothing but what you know. And what you are is sometimes like nowadays we have biometric systems in place. So that is what you are, like from your like iris recognition, your fingerprint recognition or nothing but comes into what you are. So if you are using any two of these methods, then it is called as a multi-factor authentication. So either you can use your password and OTPs. Sometimes like if you some companies have the ping IDs and RSA tokens where you would have seen your family members using some sort of a token which is getting regenerated. Some green or blue color tokens would be there where like there will be 6-digit numbers which will be synced to your identity, which will be like which you have to give to authenticate yourself as a second factor of authentication. So these are the different techniques that is being used, and these are the secure mechanisms that we are supposed to use when there is a authentication process. So these are nothing but like basic things that you're supposed to follow. There are also higher level of designs, secure designs, but these are some of the preliminary designs that you're supposed to have it in your when you're developing your software or web application. Authorization is the principle that what a particular person wants to view within the system. Like for example, like we already discussed this one multiple times. Like if your HOD or exam coordinator gets into your college website or logged into your website, it will not be the same features that you have as a student. So they will have some extra privileges, and we should ensure that person with the lowest privileges has the lower accesses. So we need to restrict the access or functions that is required for the particular user. So we need to restrict to the URLs only to authorized users. So authorized users, like for example, exam coordinator should have access to modify your marks or view all the department marks. HOD or particular department access should be provided to him. And he also should not give any privilege to change your marks because exam coordinator has full privileges to do that. So these are the different level of access that we are supposed to provide in a within a system. So I'm just giving you examples related to the colleges so you can able to understand it better. But in organization we have a different areas. For example, HR might be having in the business also. If you are having an online banking system, the staffs of the bank might be having different access, and within the staffs itself we'll have multiple level of staffs. Like for example, you have a cashier, you have a manager, you have a like a branch manager. So different levels they will be having a different accesses to the particular application. We need to ensure that those uh, uh, parameters are followed. So that's why we call it a, like, we have a access control list. So who has to have access to what? That will be there in the list. So that will be like a table where, like for example, students must have access to view only their individual marks and their individual attendance, and they should have access to the materials of that particular semester or the previous semester within the application. So that would be the one particular record. The next one would be the lecturers, which will be having their, like their own access levels based on their work nature. So the list will contain like what needs to be there and who wants to access it. So of the valid users and objects are nothing but the resources or the modules that is there in the system, and validate the access in each and every entry point of the application before providing them the access. So if someone is trying to, yesterday we saw an example where the bank teller is trying to add the money to a particular user. So if he is not privileged to do that, then there needs to be some check that uh, which will be asking him to like re-authenticate him, or you need to have a proper procedure stating that you should not have access to this particular add money page. We should have a proper mechanisms in place. The next comes the session management. So when we are discussing on broken and access and session management, we talked about this. That we have a session keys. So session is nothing but once you log in into a particular system, then the system, the application creates a session for you. So whenever you log in, it will be session will be like a different ones. It will be unique. There will be session key that will be created in a unique way. And we also saw that the session keys should not be easily predictable. We saw some of the precautionary measures that we are supposed to do when we are generating the session keys. So that's why the first step itself, you can see, use the robust session management algorithm to generate long and unique random sessions. So we need to have a like unpredictable session keys so that it will not be guessed by the hacker when he tries to hack a particular system. And set a appropriate session timeout. This is also something which is required, because if someone is idle for a long period of time, the application should have a privilege to log out or ask them to re-log in again for an inactive session. And multiple sessions for the same user or the session fixation should not be allowed. So for example, like nowadays we are using uh, Hotstar and other OTT platforms. So there is a case like when we are uh, exchanging your usernames and passwords and trying to log in into multiple devices, there will be a check like how many devices you are logged in. So based on that, this session at a particular point in time, the user, how many sessions he is trying to log in. So if it has been active in another device, then you will get a message that this is active. You log out of the other system. You want to continue in this particular system or not. So that is how this is happening because of this session management. So multiple session for the same user will not be allowed if it is a critical or a sensitive data is being done. So you need to have a proper license. Like if you want to use your Hotstar or OTT platforms in a multiple like a 5 or more devices, then you have to get a proper package for that. Unless you pay it, then they will have this sessions which will be monitored, and you will not be allowed to get into more devices. Similarly, your Wi-Fi routers also may have this one. Like the allowed device would be like 10 devices. So based on that, the sessions might be handled. So the next one is input validations. So this is also like one of the process that we are supposed to follow to secure the web application. There should be a centralized input validation routine for the application. Because we saw in the injection attack and other cross-site scripting attack, we saw the hacker was trying to give a uh, some scripts as a input, or he was trying to give a SQL query as a input and could able to get into the system. So if you would have a proper input validation, like the special character should not be allowed, the tag should not be allowed as a input. We need to have only the text fields. Sorry, text should be given as a input. Then the particular hack would have been stopped. So we need to have a centralized input validation, and also we should have a conducted data validation at both at the client and the server. So wherever the input is being given, like in the client or a server, we need to have a proper validation. Encode the data to a common character set before validation. So we need to have what is the proper set. Like as I said, like it should be like only lowercase character or uppercase character based on the field. We need to have a proper set, and we need to check whether the input provided is based on that particular common character set that is available. And also we need to have a whitelist of allowed characters wherever possible, and validate the data range, length, and type before transmitting it to the server. So if someone is giving the data at a client end, we need to have a check whether the data is in proper range or length, and the data type is proper or not as per the uh, required field. We need to check, and then we need to transmit it to the server. So these are some of the techniques that we are supposed to do in terms of input validation. The next comes the auditing and logging. So logging, you know that logging is nothing but capturing the activities that is being performed by a user. So ensure the events are audited in the log properly. So we talked about input validation. So if someone is giving some special characters like single quotes, or if he's trying giving a percentage or open tag like a lesser than symbol, like a HTML tags, if we're trying to give us script tags, then we are supposed to capture them, like from which IP we are getting the request, or what is the username that is being given, and time and date when the input is being provided in the log files. So we need to capture the input validation failures, all authentication attempts, and the access control failures. So whenever a person gives a like a wrong password, we have to capture that in the log file. Log all system exceptions. So if someone is not in the authentication, but in some different way, like whenever you are accessing a system, doing a transaction, during that time if we have any exceptions, then you have to log the system exceptions. If there is any network failure, then we need to log it as a that's a exception that you will get where, for example, where you're browsing a particular website, and at a particular point in time your internet gets off, or you get a power failure for the router, then suddenly you will get a error message. So those error messages should be logged to check like what has caused the issue. Password change details. So whenever you log in, sometimes some website sends you a mail, like for example your income tax, you may not be uh, some the income tax website, our income tax website will be sending the mail to the users whenever they log in. So, and if there is any password change, like your banking website will be sending the your password has been changed. Even in Gmail account, you might be seeing that if whenever your password has been changed, you'll get a mail to your primary account as well as to your secondary accounts that your password has been changed. If you're logging into like a any new devices also, you'll get a mail. So these are some of the security mechanisms that is there. And user creation, modification, and deletion also has the these details also should needs to be logged in the log files. And the next point regarding the audit and logging is ensure the sensitive information like password, credit card details, are not logged in the log file. So we also need to ensure that we are not logging the sensitive information, because log files will have access to the like they will have like network admins or the admin of the systems network team might be having the access to the audit files. So audit file is nothing but the log files. So we should not have the user's password and credit card details in that, because if in case it's into the wrong hands, then that will be uh, giving that will be a data breach. So we need to ensure that no sensitive informations are there in the log files. Only the activity names, date and time will be needs to be there in the log file, and only authorized users should have access to the log file. So as we said, like only the admins, network admins, and only the users, all users should not have access. Only the authorized users who needs to have access to the log file. Error handling. All errors should have been handled properly, and it should not provide us specific error details or trace the information. So this one we talked about the exception handling. You would have read about this when you're uh, studying the Python or any programming language, how you handle the exceptions or errors. So all possible errors should be handled properly. We should ensure that we are not sending the specific details, or we talked about like in the, I think in the injection attack, the hacker was able to see what is the database that is being used, and what are the columns that is there, and he was able to hack the system. So like that, we should not give a sensitive information in the error message. So earlier, like a few years back, you could be able to see like with the codes that is being thrown out of the error message as part of the error message. Nowadays, it's been handled properly. You will just get a service unavailable, or the page not available messages when you're trying to access it. So those are the ones that is handled properly. You should have a proper mechanisms in place to throw an error or handle the messages, error messages. Error information should not be revealed the configuration related details to the end users. So as I said, like what is the database that is being used, or the SQL queries, what are the queries that is being used. So those sort of information along with the configuration, whether using a Windows or Linux, or what is the operating system that is being used. All these information should not be revealed to the end users. So you can also see your log files that is there in your system. Maybe you can search for dot log files or log files. So if you're using Windows system, you have a event viewer. You can able to see the Windows logs. Log files are stored in this particular area default. You can able to see the all the log files that is there in the event viewer. This is the like a default application that is there in the Windows operating system. So it might take some time to load it. See, application log files are there. And able to see the details, log details. And also hardware events also you can able to see. Key management services. So if you see here in the log files, you can able to see the source, event category, task category, and the details. You can able to see the event data that is stopped and the details with respect to it. So these are the system logs that is there in this Windows. These are the example of how the logs are stored. Errors or warnings are there in the administrative events. So if you're using your system or in your lab, you can able to see the event viewer and able to see how the log files are stored. And the last one is data protection. Implement a least privileges. So least privileges, like the privileges is nothing but the accesses that is given to the particular user. Privilege in the sense like the edit access or the like higher level accesses are called privileged access. So as we discussing that the exam coordinator example itself, like if he has having the access to edit the student's data, then it's a higher access or higher privileges that is there. So we need to ensure that we have a least privileges. So least privilege is a principle that is being used in cyber security, like based on the role. For example, if you're like a HR department person, you need to have only the accesses that is required to do your job function. You should not have all the accesses that is there in the system. So if you're like a lecturer, you should have only the access that is related to your job function. If you're part of the accounts department, then you should have a access only to view the bills or the raise invoices, or the to view or edit the balance sheets. Like that, you need to have access only to the account related applications. So that is called implementing the least privileges, and restrict user access to minimal data and functionality and information which are needed to perform their task. So on day-to-day basis, like whatever the task that they have to perform, based on that we have to provide the access. So if they want any extra access or privileges, we need to ensure that that is being done through via request, or it's a temporary access that is being provided. Encrypt with strong hashing algorithm for higher sensitive data that is stored in the server. So we saw that whenever a password or credit card data is being stored, we need to have the encryption, so that even if the hacker got the access to the data base, he will not be able to view the data in the password column, or which is there in the sensitive information column, because it's being encrypted. You need a strong decryption keys to view those data. So do not store the connection string passwords in the plain text. We need to have a or cryptographically insecure format. Even within the cryptography or within the encryption itself, you can able to see uh, like the weaker cryptographic. Like if you Google stating that weak encryption techniques, you will get a like a lot. Let me see here. Let me show you that. So these are the some of the weak encryption techniques: triple DES, SHA-1, ECB. These are the weak encryption techniques. So within the encryption itself, you will be having a weak and strong. So strong, you can able to see advanced encryption technique, AES, strong encryption techniques. So AES 256 is considered as a strong encryption technique as of now. So you can able to see the what are the strong encryptions that is available. So if you see, AES 256 is virtually uncrackable by using any brute force method. It would take million of years to break it, and current computing technology and capabilities. So if there is AES 128 also. So if you see, if you're using DES key, it would machine would crack a DES key in a second, whereas it would take a lot of years to crack a 128-bit AES key or 256-bit AES key. So that's why we need to ensure that even if you're using any encryption techniques, we need to use a strong encryption techniques. We should not go for any weak. So do not store the password connection strings in a plain text or cryptographically insecure format in a client side. Remove the comments, unnecessary system and application documentation from the production code. So if you're having any code, so the live code is called production code. So in that production code, you should not have a commands like you because those commands will help the hackers if it is being like if a particular hacker tries to get into the programming language like programming codes. If they get into the programming code, he could be able to use this commands and documentations that is available. So we should not provide those details as part of the source code. So because they provide a clue to the about the architecture and the design of the system. Implement appropriate access control from the sensitive data that is being stored. So this has been already discussed, like we need to have a proper access control mechanisms for the sensitive data. Only those, like for example, sensitive data can be financial records. For if in the company, uh, if there is any new product is being launched, or if there is any new like we have a quarterly results coming in, if there is any financial reports that's being published, if it is being in discussion with the CEO and CIO, CTO, and CISO, we call it as Chief Information Security Officer, Chief Information Officer. So we have like a Chief Operational Officer, COO. So the very sensitive data would be like uh, the access should be given only to these CXOs. We call it as generically as a CXOs, should be given only to the CXOs if it is being unpublished. Uh, if it is being like a if it is going to be get public, then all the users can able to access that, so that there will be a like lot of damages if it is being public or all the access is given to all documents. So we need to have a proper access control in place. Security defects are not introduced in application during implementation phase, but during design, but also during the design. So if you're not properly designing, then the security defects are getting introduced in the design phase itself. So hence, as a web page developer, we must be aware that the secure design principles. So the next topic would be secure design principles. I could see like lot of hands that is being raised up. So if you have any questions, you can put it in a Q&A session. We'll might be discussing them later. So you would be having the quizzes at the end of each course. I request you to do that. That is like a knowledge check that is there. So next we'll go to the secure design. So I'll give you like 2 to 3 minutes. Just go through this. We'll discuss this one by one, like all these principles that is there. I request you to go through each and every principle that is there. Like we have discussed few of them earlier sessions. Try to recollect them and see like whether you can understand these principles or not. So these are the like we'll be looking into one by one, but try to recollect it. Like we discussed just now, least privileges. Try to see whether you can able to get some idea on this, so that if you think, then when we are discussing, it will be easy for you to observe it. So secure design flaws can be avoided using a secure design principles. These principles are related to CAA triad. So CAA triad, hope you could able to get what is CAA triad. CAA triad is nothing but confidentiality, integrity, and availability. The application must provide controls to protect the confidentiality of the information, integrity of the data, and provide access to the data whenever it is required, which is known as the availability to the right users. That is very important. Only the right users should have access to this particular website. Only then the availability principle is achieved. So when developing a new application or modifying the existing one, so the next point is like whenever even if you're modifying the existing one, you need to ensure that you are implementing all these secure design principles. So these are some of the basic design principles that is being recommended by OWASP. So OWASP also, which is Open Web Application Security Project Group, also defines the what is the basic design principles that we need to follow. So minimizing the attack surface area, establishing the secure defaults, principle of least privileges, principle of defense in depth, fail securely. Even if there is any failures, we need to have fail securely procedures in place. Don't trust services, separation of duties, avoid security by obscurity, keep security simple, fix security issues correctly. So these are the some of the basic design principles that is suggested by OWASP. Let's understand the what are the basic design principles. Minimizing the attack surface area. So adding the new features with the limited access to authorized users. So minimizing the attack surface area in the sense like if you're developing a new application for your college website, like a new module in your college website, like you are creating some, there is some symposium that is going to be organized in your college. You need to have a web application for the registration or any uh, event management for that particular uh, college symposium event. So if you're having any new tab or module created for that, you need to ensure that only the event managers or only the event coordinators should have the access to it. You should not give the access to all the students in the college, or you should not give access to the public. Then the purpose of this particular event, they can spoil it. So you need to ensure that only authorized users are given access to the event that is there. So we are minimizing the attack surface area. So only the if something goes wrong, we can able to get it to know only the event coordinators might have done something wrong, rather than trying to speculating the other users from where it has been like there is some issues has been created. So we are minimizing the attack surface. So similarly, the organizations also do the similar way. If there is any bank websites, for example, if HDFC is operating only in India, we need to ensure that only the IP addresses within India is trying can able to access that particular website. So no other people who are outside of India will be trying. Even if they try, they may not be succeeding getting that. So that is the minimizing the attack surface area. Establishing the secure defaults. So software environment must have a default secure settings which may be opted in or out by the users. For example, password aging, and the complexity should be enabled in the server. So we need to know, like we talked about, like in OWASP, the last session we talked about what are the good practices. So all these security defaults needs to be implemented to secure the environment. For example, like they have said like about the password aging. Password aging in the sense uh, like earlier and all, like if a password is created, there is no expiration date. You can use the password till you are using the system. But nowadays we have to change the password once in every 90 days or 6 months. They will ask you to change the password, because even if the password is being breached by the website, some of the websites gets breached, and the data is being sold to any of the users. Your Gmail account and password can be hacked by one particular user and can be sold to multiple users. So if that is going to happen, like rather than some other people are misusing your Google accounts or any other accounts, it's always better to change the password. So if you change your password regularly, then the chain gets blocked. Like a person who are getting after 2 or 3 months may not be using the same password again. If he tries, then he will not be able to succeed in his attempt. And then complexity should be enabled. So nowadays, like you can able to see, whenever you're setting a new password, there's a password complexity in it. Like you might be having like 5 to 6 checkboxes, like you need to use a lowercase, uppercase, special characters. The password should be at least 8 digit long. All these things are nothing but the complexity of the password. So whenever you are designing any login screen or password entry fields, you need to ensure this complexity and aging are implemented. So these are some of the s- secure defaults. The next one is principle of least privileges. I hope we have already discussed this a lot of time. Only the required users, the user should have access only as per their job function. So the accounts should have a least privilege to all the resources to perform their business operations. So only like uh, the student should have a access to their student portal, not to the any other portal. Like similarly, lecturers, HODs should have a access only to their perform their job function, not something more or less than what they're supposed to have. And then next is principle of defense in depth. So principle of defense in the depth in the sense like placing a multiple gating area. So it's uh, like if you consider like the organization, you have a physical layer, like you have a CCTV cameras, you have high compound walls, you have a security person in the gate. All these things are nothing but the physical security. Like you are trying to, like there should not be any stranger getting into the office or into your college as well. Like you should not someone who is with the who is not having your college ID or should not enter into your colleges. So that is a physical security that you have. So that is a first defense that we have. The next one is Your staffs might be knowing like who is part of the particular college, like a particular classroom. So if someone is stranger is sitting in your classroom, take for an example, during the lecture, then even students or lecturer can able to get that person out. That is the second difference that we have. So like that, within the infrastructure also we might be having a different defense. Like we have firewalls at the network layer, we might be having the like a antivirus in the endpoint security, we might be blocking some of the ports in, like for example, the USB ports in your college system might not work. Definitely in the organization they will block the USB drives, so you can't use your flash drives to the organization to handle the data. So these are some of the mechanisms that at a different layers, like database layer, we have server layer, we have operating system layer, we have the like a people layer, and we have the like physical layer. It's like different layers, we have a security mechanism should be imposed, so that even as there is a one point, like there is a one failure, the other safeguards will try to save the data. So that's what we call it as a defense in depth. So the way in which at each layer we should have a proper security mechanisms in place. So the next one is fail securely. During the failure of application, do not reveal any sensitive data or configuration related details to the end users. So we need to ensure, even if it is something is getting failed, like as we discussed, like we need to encrypt the passwords, we need to encrypt the uh, credit card information or the account information. We need to ensure that even if the database being exposed, we have a strong encryptions in place to safeguard our accounts or the safeguard our uh, critical or sensitive information. Don't trust services. Check the data provided by the third party vendors. So if you're having any third party vendors is nothing but your sub-service companies before using the application. Like if you're using any, if your college is using any uh, application from different vendors, outsiders, then we need to ensure that it's being properly monitored. We need to see whether the application has any vulnerabilities. We need to ensure that it is being not deployed before it is being checked. So that's called don't trust. Don't trust any services that is provided by the vendor. We need to, if you don't have a capability to develop it, try to have a proper checks before it's being implemented. The next one is separation of the duties. Administrator should not be the user of the application. This is an example that they have provided. So this is also relates to the least privileges. So for example, separation of duties, only the, see if you're raising a leave request. So will you have a, uh, will there be any access for you to approve it? Definitely not, right? Like you should be only raising the leave application. Only your lecturers can able to approve it, or your mentor or someone from your college can able to
Being
approve it. And if there is a case that if someone, like even a lecturer needs a leave, or if they are raising a absence request, then your HOD will have a privilege to approve it. So this is called separation of duties. Like who wants to do what is least privileges. Separation of duties is a person who is raising the request should not have a access to approve it. So we should have a proper separation of duties in the process. Avoid security by obscurity. Instead of hiding the sensitive information to the end user, provide the access control list and restrict the access only to the authorized users. And the next one is keep security simple. Avoid using double negatives, complex architectures, when a simpler approach would be faster and simpler. And the next one is fixing security issues correctly. So whenever we are fixing the security issues, we should test the fix for the all the affected applications. So you can able to see like more design principles in the following websites. Like we have OWASP security by design principles, IEEE avoiding the top 10 software security design faults, SANS top 25 dangerous software errors. So all these SANS, OWASP, IEEE will give us a standard procedures, design mechanisms to develop a software. So the next session we'll be talking about thread modeling, which will be helping to identify the threads in the designing of the web applications. So I request you guys to just go through the topics till here and then come for the next class so that the next topics will be very much understandable by you. So we'll talk about thread modeling in the next session. So I request you guys to complete the sessions till thread modeling. Maybe next week we will also discuss about the a particular tool called Microsoft SDL tool, which will help us to perform the thread modeling. So now I will hand over the session to Naeem. He will talk about the like your project and he'll give a explanation on the network.
Hi.
Hi Naeem, I'm giving you the presenter access.
Hi to all. Now we are going to see about the simulation process. Last time we saw that routing protocols. Okay, so we created the routers and configured the particular practical system. Okay. Now we are concentrating to the same practical session. Okay, so we have to give the full practical selected thing for next after upcoming days. Okay, so you should deliver the things like you have to send project the project message today itself can go through it and can do the particular task. So I think start the session. Okay. So, so here we are going to configure with the routers. Okay. So just put the routers for 184.841. So the basically we have to configure the routing concept. Before doing the routing concept, we have to configure the interfaces, so which you get clear process for that. And, can move into the network router. So last time we used only the three routers. Okay. So now we are going to use the four routers. So in this time we have to configure with the different routing protocols. Okay. Why we need the routing protocols means so it should be connected with the different area network, right? So that we will use the routing protocols. Okay. So just a minute. Yeah. and So while you configuring the router means you have to provide the router information initially. Okay. So in this concept, you can verify with the help of commands. Without the commands, you could not do anything. Okay. So in previous lesson, we saw about the encrypted passwords, right? So the encryption password is very important thing. You can easily configure it. Okay. So in this environment, you have to set the things like you have to add the interface. Okay. So here itself, the router is switched off. Okay, you have to switch it off the router because you have to add the interfaces. I already given the this process. Once again, I will show you the process again because why I'm showing again and again for this thing means you have to do the practicals. Okay, with the help of this platform. Okay, so that it's very important for you. You just put on your uh, router, right? After that, you can give for all the routers, right? Just power of the router and power of the system. So here itself you have the final router. You have to give the same serial connection. Okay, just pick out. After that, here the serial interfaces available. See it, guys. All of you guys, please note it down. So you have to connect these settings. Why I'm showing this process means you have to architect the infra and execute the commands. This is the final output for your capstone project. Okay, you have to do this type of process with the help of Cisco packet tracer. I already told that the Cisco packet tracer you can easily download from Google. Okay. If you have any doubts to regarding the downloading process, you can ask me. So here itself, I connect with the serial interface. Whatever it is, you can connect it here. Okay. So after that, you can provide the each and every data here. Okay. It's R1, R2. You can provide any name. R3, R2. So this is the main thing for your infra support thing. Okay. Before using the OS applications, so you have to well knowledge about the networking protocols, and you have to set the policy. Okay, you can block out the list. Okay, you can block out the list for whatever it is. You can easily change the process. So here I am mentioning this is the head office. Okay, HO, head office. This is the branch one. While you submitting the capstone project, I need look like that. Okay, so please listen carefully. Okay, you should give this one. So here you should note it down. Here the notepad available. Okay, so place the note is very important. Never be forget to give this process. Okay, so then only you get an idea. After that, you can fill out with IP address. You already know about the IP address. You can start the IP address on that one. Here I can give the again you can give the here you can use it. Okay. So now you finish this process. Okay. See here, while you architect the things mean you have to provide the server. Okay, the server which you only connected with the head office. Okay, you can take out the server for the head office, right? So I can connect it to the crossover cable. That's it. Okay. For the server, you need to configure the different networks. Okay. 200.1, 200.1 for fast Ethernet. Server, you can set 200.2. 200. So after the process is done, you just configure the routers. After that, we will provide another devices. Okay, like switches, systems, like that. Okay. So you can start from first router. Okay. Need to configure the first router. So in the CLA, you can see the thing. Okay. Here itself, you can give the no command. After that, you can see the router greater than symbol. You can give enable. Okay. After it, you can just give the configure terminal. Okay. See, this en means enable. Okay. You can enable the process. After that, you can configure the terminal. Router hash means you can configure the terminal. So this is the method. So enable, which gives you the privileged mode, and after that, if you give with the configuration terminal means you can get the globalized configuration, right? You can use globalized configuration. Okay. So here you have to give the IP address range. See, while you build up the infra process, which means the router concepts, routing protocol concept, you have to specify the IP address. Without the IP address, you could not connect with each other. Okay, so you can get an example like you have a machine. You have a machine in your own environment with data centers, like which you want to secure the process. Okay, well, the security principle which gives you some auditing concept, policy related things, and routing protocols. So these three varieties will be implemented in the every industry. Okay, so that I want to show you the real time configuration. Okay, so these are all the activities which will be done while you joining with the security team or network team, server team, or cloud environment team, or DevOps team. So any other teams you can manage with the whole activities. Okay, you should watch out the application security, backend process, databases. After that, networking, firewalls, like that. Okay, so please be noted the all the kinds of activity. Okay, so if you understand this segment, you can easily configure any other protocols, which means you can easily secure your network. Okay. After that, you can give the so then you can give it interface fast Ethernet 0/0. Okay, you can add the IP add dot 128 dot sorry 200 just without so here you have a IP address 200.1. Okay, so here you can have a dot 1. So there you can see the 1.1 IP. So I configured the both IP address. For serial port, I configured 1.1. Now I want to set the password, encryption password, right? Enable secret and configure to show running config. You have to mention. It should be the encrypted passwords. Okay, encryption is very important. So that's why we are giving the secret command. Okay, yeah. So here itself you have a server. In the server you can make some configurations. Okay. So I think I want to config the services. Here you have a DNS. Okay, you can just power on the DNS resource records. You can create the resource record and just mention the dot. So you just provide your server address. Okay, not a gateway address. Ma. This is a fast in the service. Server address is 200. Okay, just add the A record. So in this A record, which means the host record. So in every segment, okay, in every segment you have a data center. So this data center which gives you the A record. A record means you can give the host record. Host record means server name address. Okay, you can give the server name. So on that particular server, if you have the some website means you can give the some website address with the IP address. Okay, that is called the A record. So these are all the records you have to manage by your security team members, and after that, the server admin also. Okay. So you just add the A record only. There is no need for adding more records. Okay. You just know about the A record. A record means host record. Note it down. A record means host record. A record means host record. Okay. Then the process is done. Go with the second router. Okay. You need to configure it. Here you can give. enable surface area 0 slash 0 can give the 192.168. So this commands is very important, Mark. You have to configure these commands so for every time. Again, you have to configure another status is also up. Then you can go with the plus 1/1. If you add 2.255, 255. So this is for another command. Okay. After that, we go with another. Oh, so another thing is you have to configure the another serial number. Okay, 0/1/0 can give IP at 168.3.1. Okay, so then you can check it to the exit. Finally, you can go with the can give the configurator no equal. Okay. After that, here you can give interface serial 0/1/IP add 3.2. Hold it down. So after that, you just close it down. Okay. So finally, you configure with the server and for each branch, right? So now I want to add for each router. Okay, you have to connect the two PCs. Okay, you have to connect with the two PCs. You can directly connect with the thing. Okay, you have to connect with the thing. You have to connect. So I can do with the PC. You can use the PC here it goes. So for each router, you can connect with the two PCs. Okay. So after that, you have to connect the same thing for each router. So for router, you have to connect it to the crossover cable. Okay. So you can put the PC. So last router you can give with the crossover cable. So hereafter you can provide the see here. So this fast Ethernet address. Okay, this is for serial interface. Okay, don't confuse it. Okay, the serial interface. Okay, just up the now we want to provide the address for each PC. Okay, so the router you have to specify the different network. Okay, initially we completed with 3 series. You can start from 100 series. That is no. Okay, or fast Ethernet you can carry on with 100 as well. So here itself we can give with the feedback. Otherwise, you can start from 100 not 1. Okay. So different network you can provide 100 dot 100 dot. Okay. So this is you already know about the IP address range. I think so. So don't forget it. Just see the address range. Okay. This address range which starts from look like that. Okay. So you can configure anything. This is the starting process. Now I am taking from 190.168.100 series. Okay. So the 100 series, this is a network ID. Okay. You can use this 100 series like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 like that. Get 254 IP address. Okay. Finally, you can get the 100.255 the broadcast address. Broadcast address. Okay. So it is the first network. Once you want to switch upon the another network means you have to give the second network. So this is the first network. Okay. The first network. So second network means you have to specify the address range. Broadcast address, right? So first network, second network. So look like that you can go with the second, third network, fourth network, fifth network like that. Okay. Here itself you can uh, one or four, one or five. Okay. So if you put the IP address clearly, which means this is a network address, you can see it. So this is a 100 series. You can go with the 100 not 1, 1 not 2, 1 not 3, 1 not 4, 1 not 5. You can take this one also an example. Okay, you can build the capstone project. Look like this. This process is also going good. Okay, you can use this type of address range for your project also. Okay, so you can note it down. This IP address range. You note it down. Okay. Then we have to configure the address for each and every one. Okay. So you can press enter. Just click enable it, configure terminal, configure terminal. You can use interface path business. Okay. So here you can add IP add 100.1. Okay. So interface path business 0/0 can give the IP address 100, and then you have to mention another network. So you have to up the data, note it down. So then after that, go and take the second branch to. So now we are going to configure the another. Path business. See, this process which will be used for only capstone project. Okay. Well, if you are organizing the architecture, then only you will get the output. That's why I'm showing you all the actions. So now we are going to configure another type. Okay. See here. Now after that we go with the last. Here's the last router. Suppose you enable. Here itself you have to give the pass internet 0/0. Cat so So finally, you configure all the process. Now you have to set the IP address for each and individual PC. Okay, just here 19.16.100. So 100.1. Okay, for the capstone project, you have to do the have to do and for the last upcoming. Okay. After this, the 104.1 is the gateway address. Okay. If you give wrong address, it should show you the error. Already the IP address which is configured on the particular route. So that is finally we have to configure the last one. That one dot not 5.2. Finally configured all the okay. Just take a look. Okay. Just you note it down clearly. Because the project is very important. So that we can use now. So after the process is done, you just review the routing protocol. Okay, so just verify all the things to the completely uh, configured for the interfaces. Okay. If it goes wrong, you have to check the process. So while before you doing this routing protocol, you just confirm that the interfaces which will be followed by correctly or not. Okay. You have to specify the IP address network ID. Okay. After that, you can use the all. So now I am going to configure with the routing protocol. So this routing protocol, I can show you the command. So now we are going to see the EIGR. And interior between. So this is the command router EIGRP 1 network ID. Okay. So the network ID is the 1,255,535 numbers available. This is called the autonomous number system. Autonomous number. Okay. This is called the autonomous number system. Called the autonomous number system. See this autonomous number system, which look like a ID. You can use for each ID. You can connect up to 255 routers. Okay, can connect up to 255 routers. 255. Autonomous. So you have to configure for each router. So head office, branch office, like that. You have to configure the routing protocol. So here you have to mention the router EAGRP protocol command. See here. So you have the networks for head office. How many networks which is available here? So 201. We have to do dot dot zero. After that, it dot after dot zero. Okay. So that is the main thing. So how many network address which is available in the particular for each router? You have to give. Uh, then after that you have to go with the branch. So we go with the another router branch one. So then second router you have to make the router user. So 100 series, 101 series, then you have to give the 2 dot network, and here you can give it to one. See here, the branch one which has so many networks. You can watch it out. 100, 101, 2, 1. Okay, so these are all the activities you have to done. Okay, for each and every router you have to take it. See here, I am using the EAGRP one for all the routers because I can use the autonomous number system. For each autonomous number system, I can connect with up to 255 routers. Okay, then branch the EAGRP. Okay, you just mention one for all routers. See here, it has four network IDs. So 102, 103, 0, 3. So here have three routers, three networks. One 90 dot, 160 dot, 0. After that, you can do that one. That dot 4 dot 0. Okay, so now we are going to configure these items for each and individual router. Okay, so there is a main activity for now. Open with just put the password now. So here itself, I can give you the address, head office address, the router EAGRP1. So once again, I want to show you here. So why I am giving this routing protocol means, see here, if I want to connect with the first router to second router, it's possible to connect. At the same time, while I am connect with the second to third router means it shows you the successful. Same the process which will be applied for there to 4. But once I want to connect with the first router to last router, see here, it's getting me an error. Okay, it's getting me. Okay, now I want to configure with the first one. I can do the router EAGFE. So you just provide the network ID for each and individual router. Okay, then you go with the branch. Enable it. Okay, so configure terminal router user. Here itself, you should provide the all the details. Okay, once I noted in the notepad, so you can copy and paste. Yeah, right, in easiest way. Put it 1.0. Okay, so it finds a neighbor thing so that it shows you not and that if you type wrongly, goes okay. So you have to specify for the each and individual network. After that, the final router. So here you can mention router. Here the network ID. That's 0. Not 5. So you completed this all the IP. Yes. Okay. So now you have to connect with the packets. Now we have to connect with the packets. So it shows you the success. Here itself you can connect with the okay. It shows you the successful. Can you see it? So from server to my end, it shows you the success. Okay. So this is the method to communicate with the help of routing protocols. Okay, not only for so this protocol which helps you to the larger network. Okay, so they can okay. Hereafter you can check the routing protocols. Okay, see the show IP. See here, this show IP route means which type of route which will be connected with the network. Okay, you should know about which type of protocol which is communicated between the devices. Okay, so you can see the address range 100, 101, 102, like that. Now each and every router you have to verify the responsibilities. Okay, see these are all the commands which will be used for auditing purpose. Okay, so security analysis means it's not for only work with the tools related thing, but also you have to verify the auditing process also. Okay, so IP route. Okay, so you can easily verify the E. So the D, which is the EHR. C means connector, directly connected. Okay, can give directly connected. So now I can show you the thing like the SIEM tools. Okay, the SIEM tool list you can download it. Okay, I already show you the thing. Just download it and use the SIEM tools. So here the Solar Winds Security Manager. You can monitor security threats in real time. Log management. Okay. Solar Winds. Guys, you can easily download with the free trial. Okay, you can just use with the free trial. So I can use download version VMware or Hyper-V. See, this is the virtual application. You want to download it, you can easily download here. Okay. How much it needs? Like it needs 525 MB. Okay. Once you free, you can check it now. Okay, ma. So these are all the one type of solar winds. You can see a lot of tools. Okay. For OS related, you can see the Nisus tool. This tool. You just note it, ma. So because if you need for while attending the interview, okay, Nisus vulnerability scanner. Okay, you can use this tool also. See this formation for networking networking configurations. Okay, at the same time you have to know the protocols, you have to know about the configuration encryption passwords like that. After that you can manage the network with the help of these tools. Okay, you can install the tool into your windows machine. That's it is enough for you. Okay, so that's why I'm showing here. You can choose, you can select the vulnerability analysis tool. Okay, you can mention the skill into your resume. Okay, so that's why I'm showing these are all the important tools. SolarWind Security Manager. After that, the Nisus tool. Okay. So here, these are all the paid version only, but most companies they were using these tools. Nisus tool. Okay. See this tool which helps you the network related things and also OS related things. Okay, unlimited vulnerability assessment. Okay, you can see here. Know your vulnerabilities, expose the threats. Take can use this type of. So these are all the process we have to done it. Now, can you work it out? Now we have the packet tracer tool. Okay, so you can start now. If you have any doubts, you can ask me. The Q&A. So you have to do this type of method. Please take screenshot. Uh, so you have to do this type of project for the upcoming weeks. Okay, last week. Have any doubts? You can just text me now. So start the practice. I think all of you download the Cisco packet tracer, right? So you start from now. Okay, you just do with the router. Okay, so just create three routers. After that, you can implement this type of architecture. Okay, so you can just create. router. And other three routers had a branch of connect two pieces. Not clearly. Okay, and I'm showing here. Thing is, you have to create the routers. First router it's head office, connect with the server, and other three routers considered as a branch office. Okay, so each branch office you should connect with the two PC. After that, finally you can configure with the EHR2 protocol. EHR2 protocol. Okay. Okay. So you should do the process. Okay, this is your capstone project. Okay, can build up to the process and configure EHR2 routing protocol. Then configure password. Okay, configure password. Configure password. And check routing. So you just implement the routers, and first router it's a head office. Okay, that head office you have to connect with the server. Okay, this is your capstone project. Okay, you can use this type of architecture to submit the final. All of you configured with the packet tracer. Okay, you just create with the four routers. First router it's a head office, and other three routers it's considered as a branch office. Okay, each branch they connect with the two pieces. Okay, they connect with the two pieces. After that you can configure the EHRP routing protocol. EHRP and configure the encrypted passwords and check the routing protocol. use it to the and can connect it to the server. For all the activities you should. So please note the project details. Just note it down. Project details. So you should mention the process, okay, and every time you can give with this set. So you have to create each breed the model. You can take a screenshot, okay, you can take a screenshot. After that you can know project. So you should notify the project. Okay. Do you have any doubt? And send me the have any doubt. You just note it down the things. Okay, this is the project details. You can note it down. This is the project details. Okay. And if you have any doubt, note the project details.
Hi all, thanks for joining the session. If you have any questions, we are here for our next 5 minutes. Like you can put your questions in Q&A box.